Hi everyone, and welcome to this video for Math OD1, Chapter 3, Section 3. In this video, we're going to learn how to solve percent problems using equations or proportions. Okay, so let's review some vocabulary. We're going to be given a problem that maybe looks like this. What is 20% of 35? Okay, so anytime I see the word of, I'm going to write the multiplication sign. Anytime I see the word is, I'm going to write the equal sign. And anytime I see the word what, well, that's a variable, so I'll probably just use the letter X. So let's get started with some specific examples. This says what is 20% of 35? So whenever I see the what, I'm going to write X. Whenever I see the word is, I'm going to write equals. And then, anytime I see a percent, I'm going to convert it to a decimal. So remember, 20% is equal to 20 over 100, or 0.20, or 0.2. Okay? So that's what we're going to do. Then we have the word of. Anytime I see the word of, I'm going to write multiplication. And then 35 is just 35. So, this is a job for our calculator. 0.2 times 35 is 7. So X is 7. Now, it might be true that you could probably have figured this out without writing the equation, but you want to get into the habit of translating this into an equation, using a variable, and then solving it. Let's do another example. Okay, this one says 18% of 220 is what number? So let's start with 18%. So the first thing we do is convert that to a decimal. Of means to multiply. 220 means 220. Is means equal. And what, or what number, is our variable. So we can just pull up our calculator, type in 0.18 times 220, and that gives us 39.6. Okay, how about this one? What is 5.5% of 248? So what becomes X, is becomes equals 5.5%. So remember, if I'm converting this, then I need to move the decimal place over 2 spaces, and then I need to fill in the spaces with zeros. So 5.5% is 0.055. Okay, the word of means multiply, and 248 is 248. So 0.055 times 248, you can type that into your calculator and you get 13.64. All right, so now we're going to have part 2 of our examples. This time, our variable will be sort of in a different spot in our equation. So let's get started. We have 30%, that's 0.30. Of means multiply. What number, or what, that means X. Is means equals. 45 means 45. So this is a little bit different, because now I have a one-step equation that needs to be solved. So we're going to have to divide both sides by 0.3. And we find out that X gives us 150. So 30% of 150 is 45. Let's do another problem. Okay, so we have 42 is equals 15%, 0.15, of, that means times, what, or what number, is X. So I have 42 is equal to 0.15x. Okay, just like last time, we have to divide both sides by 0.15. And when we type that into our calculator, we find out that X is equal to 280. All right, this one's a little bit weird because we have this 2.5%. So let's think about what 2.5% really means. Well, 2.5 is the same as 2.5%, right? And then what we can do is we can just move the decimal place over twice. So 2.5% becomes 0.025. So let's go back to the whole problem. We have 88. We have is, that means equals. 2.5%, we said that's 2.5% or 0.025 of, that means times, what number means x. So we have 88 is equal to 0.025x. So we have to divide, we have to divide both sides by 0.025, and that's a job for our calculators. And we find out that x is equal to 3,520. So 88 is 2.5% of 3,520. All right, this is part 3 of the examples. Again, this time we're rearranging things even differently than what we have been doing. Okay, so this time instead of saying what, they're saying what percent. So you can do this in one of two ways. You can just write x and then remember that your answer needs to be as expressed as a percent, or if you want, you could write x%. Okay, what I'm going to do is, again, just write x here for what, and then just remember that my final answer needs to be 8%. Okay, so what percent of times 20 is equals 5. So I have 20x equals 5. Then I divide both sides by 20, and we get x is equal to 0.25. Okay? It's at this point that we have to remember that our answer has to be as expressed as 8%. Okay? So we have to take 0.25, and we have to multiply by 100%, and that will give us 25%. So that is our final answer. All right, how about the next one? Again, you can write x% or you can just write x, and remember that the final answer has to be 8%. So I have x times 320 is equals 64. So we have 320x equals 64. We divide both sides by 320. We can type that into our calculators. And we find that x is equal to 0.2, but we're not quite done because x needs to be 8%. So 0.2 as 8%, if we multiply by 100%, gives us 20%. All right, let's do one more example. What percent of 32 is 20? Okay, so what percent? Again, I'm just going to use my variable here. Of means times. 32 is 32. Is equals. And then we have 20. So we have 32x is equal to 20. And this might be a little bit different here. We might have to end up rounding. Let's see what happens. Okay, so we get 0.625. Okay, and then again, remember that they're asking us for a percent. They want the answer as a percent, so we have to do this extra step of multiplying by 100%, and we find out that x is 62.5%.